Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. A couple from Cambridgeshire have been handed prison sentences today after being found guilty of possession of large amounts of drugs and cash worth more than £184,000 in their Holywell home. Officers raided the address of Eddie Ransome and Dawkin in Back Lane on the 25th of June last year. Intelligence suggested the couple were dealing Class A drugs. Inside they found 820 grams of cocaine with 237 grams of ketamine and MDMA tablets with a street value of £87,000. A holdall containing 96 grand in cash was also seized, and a white BMW M3 and a Bentley Continental. This couple looked like they was living the dream and they had everything, but it wasn't obtained by legal means. At Huntingdon Court on the 18th of January 2021, Ransome 29 was sentenced to 6 years in prison and Dawkins was sentenced to 40 months in prison after both of them pleaded guilty, possession with intent to supply cocaine, MDMA and ketamine. Ransome also pleaded guilty to concealing criminal property, and he's also a paedophile. PC Luke Charlton said the pair were running an illegal drugs business from their home in a small peaceful village. The seizure is a big disruption to the area, and today's sentence serves a message to those who want to sell drugs in the county. Drugs and drug-related crime has a massive impact on the communities. The Bentley Continental, BMW M3 and 97 grand in cash was all confiscated, and the former carpet fitter, Eddie Ransome, is now beginning his 6-year sentence. He's 29 years old and he used to go to Ramsey College as a student before he decided to sell drugs with his girlfriend Jodie Dawkin. And this was simply discovered by neighbours just being suspicious. Of course, flashing the cash will only get attention of anyone, and this is exactly what happened. In 2017, Ransome was found guilty of making 13 indecent Category A photographs of a child in a 2-year period between 2014 and 2016. The offences took place in the same area that he committed these crimes, and he was fined and given a community order and a sexual harm prevention order for 5 years. So he then went on to commit even more offences in the area where he was a paedophile as well. So I'm really interested to hear what everyone has to say on that. I'm definitely going to reply to as many as I can. And in this other story with an update to a trial that has started, it's about Hamawand Al-Hussein, who was 30 years old. He was found dead in his home in Hartlepool after suffering a gunshot wound. 4 men, Nazar Safari, Zafiri Anzello, Quazim Marku and Dorian Pincher, were accused of his murder, and they all denied this charge. A jury at Teesside Crown Court was told that Mr. Hussein was a drug dealer and that he'd been lured to a house to meet other alleged drug dealers. Mr. Hussein was a father of 2 and he was shot in the head with a sawn-off shotgun at point blank range on September the 14th, 2019. The prosecution said the alleged murder was a carefully planned attack on a man they was in a dispute with and wanted to get rid of. Mr. Fitzgibbon said the prosecution say each of the defendants played a vital role with at least 4 other men who have evaded arrest. Mr. Hussein was no stranger to firearms. He'd previously fought in Syria against ISIS for a Kurdish group. He was originally Kurdish, and he was said to have been a very good sniper in the group that he fought for. He'd lived in the UK for many years. As we talk about later on, he gained asylum and was a British citizen. Jurors were told a meeting took place in Bolton days before Mr. Hussein's death, and the defendants allegedly planned to kill him. The prosecution said 2 of the men bought axes, gloves, cable ties, Stanley blades and rope from B&Q. The prosecution alleged that these men had not suddenly developed an interest in DIY or wood chipping. After the Bolton meeting, they had something very different in mind for these purchases. The prosecution said the day before the murder there had been unsuccessful attempts to call Mr. Hussein. Police were later called to a property in Charterhouse Street in Hartlepool where they found his body. The dad of 2 suffered a gunshot wound and the murder trial began on Wednesday at Teesside Crown Court. The prosecution said all the accused just after 6 p.m. on September the 14th were in the front room of an empty house in Hartlepool. A man named Hamawand Hussein was shot dead. It was already established that Mr. Hussein was a drug dealer, and the reason as to why they was luring him there, he'd fallen out with some Albanian drug dealers in the area. The defendants are all Albanian apart from one who's Kurdish and an associate of Mr. Hussein. Mr. Fitzgibbon said that Mr. Hussein was originally from Kurdistan and he'd lived in the UK for many years and was a British citizen. He said that Mr. Hussein was involved in illegal cannabis farms, and it's thought that he'd made enemies with Albanian drug dealers who wanted to take him out. The prosecution said that these defendants played a vital role in arranging and conspiring to kill him in cold blood. 8 further attempts were made to call Mr. Hussein were made from another phone number. A text was sent to him saying, "Are you coming to see the stuff today? I have other jobs to do." They said that Mr. Hussein didn't reply, and the prosecution said the group of associates had given up for the day. The prosecution said Mr. Hussein was shot dead as he entered the property, and it must have happened very quickly, and he said he hadn't got into the property very far when he was shot. The killers did not use the cable ties or gaffer tape or wooden clubs found in the property, but somehow the axe was close enough to Mr. Hussein for it to have got blood on it and brain tissue. The alleged murder weapon has never been found. Police attended the property where it happened after a neighbour phoned them after hearing the gunshot. So it's a very interesting story to see how things can just fall apart and things can escalate very fast. I really want to hear what people have to say on that story, and we'll definitely give you an update when the case is concluded. So rest in peace to Mr. Hussein, and I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.